Hello and welcome. Today I want to have a look at a new add-on which was recently released for the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It is called EcoSoundScapes and is produced and sold by SoFly. EcoSoundscapes is an add-on which adds environmental and also man-made sounds to the simulator. And it comes with a whole bunch of sound effects for very different types of environments. So, for example, city sounds, forest sounds, and so on. EcoSoundscapes defines locations around the world where these sounds originate from. And if you are near such a location, you then can hear this sound in the simulator. And additionally, users can add custom sound locations and also share them with the community. The tool is currently available on the SoFly website. I bought it there myself for 24 British pounds. And the buying experience is very easy and straightforward, as you've done it on the internet hundreds of times before. You will get a download link where you can download a zip file of about 2 gigabytes, and you just need to unzip that file and move the content into your community folder. So that is a really easy installation process. Included in the download or on the web page is a 20-page manual with guides on how to get help, introduction to the tool, installation instructions, and so on. That is really nicely produced. There's also a nice help page with an FAQ, so where you find a couple of questions and informations if you have any problems. And there is a list available on Google Sheets of all the locations and the sound environment or the environment type which is associated with that location. So for example, here we see Buenos Aires with the coordinates of Buenos Aires, and that is associated with the city's type of sound effect. We are now here in or on Bora-Bora, and I want to demonstrate how EcoSoundscapes works. So first of all, after you installed EcoSoundscapes, you will find a new entry in your menu bar here. And if you click on that, the EcoSoundscapes window will open. You will find a list of all the different environment types, and you can toggle them on and off individually. You can play them manually if you press on this small play icon here. And you can also change the volume of each individual effect or on a whole global level for EcoSoundscapes. And you have also a master control switch here which toggles the effects on and off on a global level. If you use the individual play buttons, this is called the manual mode. And as we discussed in the intro, there are a huge number of predefined locations which will play one of these environment types automatically if you're near them. So let me quickly demonstrate this effect. I will now switch on the master control. Have a listen. And off again. Yeah. Huge difference here. There are animals, you can hear animals there, and this is the tropical island sound effects, I think, down here. So how EcoSoundscapes works is that it places small objects, virtual sound sources all over the world, and you can actually visualize them, and this is really helpful if you have the dev tools installed. Go to debug and sim objects, and then you will have a window here where you can show and hide different types of objects. And if you go to the unknown category and activate spheres, you maybe realized that a couple of yellow dots appeared down in the valley of Bora-Bora. So let's have a look onto one of these dots. So what you're actually seeing here are yellow spheres, which just represent a virtual sound source. So if you're near one of the sound sources, and I'm activating EcoSoundScapes again, the sound will play immediately because you're near one of these sound spheres. I will switch off EcoSoundScapes now for a second. As you can see here, the team of EcoSoundScapes placed quite some of the spheres on the islands. So I see one here, there's one. We had one where we were right above it. There are also two, and so on and so on. So there are lots of these spheres or virtual sound sources placed all around Bora-Bora, for example. So let's have a look on the effect of altitude on this sound. So let's find a sphere on some kind of plateau. Maybe we will use this one here. So I will move us close to the sphere and activate EcoSoundScapes again. And now you hear beach sounds because there's a beach right around the corner. So I will now move us away in the vertical direction. And you hear how the sound gets attenuated. It's quieter. And now, at this height, it's almost completely gone. So if we stay on this height and just move, for example, near this here, this virtual sound source, the sound again gets very loud because we are near one of these virtual sound sources. Let's increase our height. Sound gets quieter. And now it's almost completely gone. Now we are at Hamburg Airport, and I want to demonstrate to you the sound ambience on a rather big airport. So first, let me again activate the virtual sound source here. So I activate the spheres. And you can already see that there is a huge number of these virtual sound sources placed all around the airport. EcoSoundScapes is currently switched off, so let me switch that on and you can get an idea of what you will hear. Okay, I will switch EcoSoundScapes off again. So that is, I think, a good demonstration of the types of sound you will hear, and you can also see how expansive the sound, the sound sources are placed all around the airport. So if you fly or if you taxi around the airport, if you land on the airport and so on, then you will most definitely hear this sound. So let's see if we are in short final, and I switch on the master control again. Yeah, there are the sound effects again, as intended. Okay, EcoSoundScape to off now. I want to show you now the sound effects which are placed in the city. So for that we will go into Hamburg City and see what kind of sounds we will hear there. So I will see you back in a second when we are in the center of Hamburg. We are now in the city center of Hamburg. In front of us is the town hall, or the Rathaus in German. of Hamburg, and this is as center of a city as it can be. EcoSoundScapes is off, and I will switch it on now and have a listen what changes in the sound background. I will switch off again and on again. And off again. So as you heard, the difference was not that huge, and maybe you can already see why that is. There are only very few of these virtual sound sources around here. So let's see whether we can find one of them. So there is one. So let's see when we come near this sound source. Let me switch EcoSoundScapes on. And off again. Not really a difference. Let's try this rather large street. There are multiple of these sound sources, of these virtual sound sources. So EcoSoundScapes to on. Off. And on again. Again, not much of a difference. And that is something I found in a lot of cities. So the sounds are, in principle, are there, but the density of these virtual sound sources is very low. I think here is one which works. EcoSoundScapes off and on again. There was a sound effect which worked. So let's see whether we find another one. I leave EcoSoundScapes on. So here, maybe? No. Maybe here somewhere? No, not really. So this is a little bit unfortunate, because if the sounds are playing, then the effect is really nice. You get the feeling that there are people. It's really, really good. But since there are so few opportunities where the sounds are playing, the effect is very is kind of almost non-existent. Okay, so let's get back to the airport. And here you can hear directly we have a lot of ambience and a lot of airport sounds. So let me switch off the master control again, so it's a little bit quieter. Lastly, as the last part of this video, let's have a look on the frame rate impact of EcoSoundScapes. We are now in New York City, and I activated the frame rate display in the upper right hand corner. EcoSoundScapes is currently off, and I will switch it on now so we can hear some sounds from the city. And off again. Yeah, you clearly hear the difference here. Now let's have a look to the FPS counter. So my computer is not the fastest, it's not the slowest, so I have here 36-ish frames per second with the deactivated EcoSoundScapes. Now let's switch on EcoSoundScapes. You hear the sound effects. Off and on again. And if you have a look onto the frame rate counter, you can see that we are now down to something like, well, 33, 34, 34.5 with activated EcoSoundScapes. So just to make sure, I will switch off EcoSoundScapes again. And we are back at 36 point something frames per second. And now I switch EcoSoundScapes back on. We hear the sound effects, but the frame rate is also dropping by something like 2 frames per second or something like that. We are now at the airport of New York, so New York John F. Kennedy Airport. And I wanted to quickly summarize my thoughts and my findings about EcoSoundScapes. So on the plus side, the sound effects in general are really nice and very well done. They are very convincing, and for example in Bora-Bora or in the rainforest at the beginning of the video, it really adds immersion. It really adds immersion on airports and in the city. The locations which were listed in the Google Sheets document I showed you were as promised. Everywhere I looked there were sound locations. And especially on the airports where you're sitting on the ground, for example in airliners, also for a longer period of time, the ambience is really nice. There are also some, let's say, cons or downsides or things I stumbled upon. So first of all, there is no easy way to see which sound is actually currently playing and if there is a sound playing. So in the in-game panel, there's no indication whether the sound is playing or not, and you need to use the developer tools, as I showed you, and the master control to hear whether a sound was playing or not. There is no small airfield category, so there are only airports, but for example small airfields where you would fly with your general aviation airplane is not a category currently available. The effect all in all of this sound is quite limited in the sense of it's very low to the ground and also very localized to this virtual sound sources I showed you before. And in my testing, I didn't really get a good experience in the cities. There were regions where absolutely no sound was playing. Then I moved a little, there was sound playing. This breaks the immersion in my opinion. And there was a non-negligible impact on my frames per second. As you've seen before, I lost about, well, 1.52 frames per second in New York City on my machine. So maybe it is specific to my machine, but that is what I found. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and also let me know in the comments what you think about EcoSoundScapes if your experience has been different. Have a great day, and I will see you very soon.